Here's Blake to Roy. This is for the
and Oregon is going to play in the national championship game. 2-1.
Confident from hitting. Morrissey saves it.
Unbelievable to have been a part of this.
Don't come to me talking about a come up. I'm just trying to live my life and do right.
Welcome to the Northwest Sportscast, and I'm your host, David Manriquez. Let's get it. Welcome to the 2019 playoff preview. I'll be taking a look at the boys and girls soccer around the state this year from 6A to 2A. We'll go ahead and start off at the 6A level, the most disappointing season for McMill in a very long time, as they end the season on a 3-11 record and a loss to Sherwood. Really weren't able to build on that momentum from last season, as they were able to lose to Summit 1-0 away. Summit eventually making it to the state title last year, but really weren't able to build on that momentum as they slid into playoffs and had a good game at the end of the season. Hats off to the boys for playing hard this year, just not their year, as 6A is really difficult division to conquer and even win a league title in. So far this year, it looks like Jesuit's going to run away with that, as I really don't have a favorite for the 6A level. I do like Lincoln, Clackamas. I don't think Reynolds or Forest Grove are going to do well. They seem to really kind of disappoint me when I think they're going to do well. Liberty should also be an interesting team to keep an eye out on. Be an interesting playoffs, as I don't think we'll see the cream of the crop really rise to the top until about the second and third round. Moving over to the 5A level, this is really same. I think just LaSalle is just going to be too much for everyone. They just don't really seem to have a weakness this year. Had two favorable outcomes against two really tough opponents this year. They're able to beat Newburgh and tied Glencoe, really difficult teams. LaSalle really seems like they're going to run away with that one. The 4A level, though, that one seems to be the most exciting for me, as I really like Staten this year. They've beat Woodburn twice on the year. Woodburn, really difficult opponent, seems to win it every year. If not, they seem to be vying for the title every year. It's going to be an interesting year this year for them, as they have an opponent that in Staten and Valley Catholic, as Valley Catholic was able to beat Staten. Staten's only other loss was against Cascade, so kind of an up and down team. I don't have 100% faith in them, but I really do think that they are the best team at that level. Moving on to the 2A level, and this is where we start seeing things get interesting, as really, I think Catlin Gable and OES really going to run away with this thing. Catlin Gable undefeated on the season. Really good team. As far as a local game goes, though, Yem Hill, hats off to Yem Hill this year, as they really turned their program around over there. Last season, they were an astonishing 0-14. This year, they did a great job. They closed out the season with a win against Dayton, and they had a chance to play in, but lost to Blanchett Catholic 2-0, and hats off to those guys, as they had an incredible turnaround from a season ago, where it was really just not the best season, but 7-6-2. Hats off to John Briggs for having that team turn around and work together as a unit and really get that program on the right path, and I expect to see that team competing again next year. Moving on over to girls soccer, as McMill ties at home against Forest Grove 2-2 and loses to number 3 ranked Sherwood, and now they're going to be playing in playoffs against the number 1 ranked Jesuit, and this is just a very tough task, as anyone that's ever played Jesuit knows. Jesuit is almost upset proof. They're not going to show up not ready to play. They're going to show up 100%, and McMill's got to bring their A game, as Jesuit really is going to look to take it to them, and McMill's going to really have a tough task set in front of them. This year's 6A playoffs for girls looks to be the most exciting out of all the playoffs, as the field looks wide open in the sense that there's a lot of competition at this level. I really like Jesuit, obviously. Jesuit brings a group of gals that plays at the club level year-round, so really you have a really disciplined, technical team with Jesuit. The team though that I love and I really think is going to be the dark horse in this thing is West Salem, as West Salem had a favorable outcome against Jesuit earlier this year. And to me, the most impressive part of West Salem is their team, as this team has a particular player to me that stands out, and that's Paige Alexander. And I had an opportunity to watch her play for Silverton in really one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my life, as Silverton got it to the state finals. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see what this team does, as West Salem, to me, is the favorite to win the state title, just in my opinion. But we'll see as the season goes along. Disappointing, though, they are going to play at noon on Saturday. I would have liked to see them play later in the evening, give some fans a chance to get out there and watch them play. Especially against Tigard, which is historically a good opponent. So that's going to be a really interesting game to watch. I could see Tigard edging out West Salem, but I don't know. West Salem seems to really have their head on their shoulders this year. Sherwood looks like they're going to be a tough team. They took the conference this year. Really, really tough team there. Along with Westland and Tualatin, two other teams that I really think are going to be tough. I don't know too much about South Eugene, but outside of that, man, it really seems like this 6A level is going to be really, really hard fought level this year. Moving on over to the only other division I have any comprehension of, and that's the 2A level. Dayton picks up some good outcomes here to close out the season as they build a little momentum closing out. They beat Salem Academy 1-0 on the road, turned around, went on the road again, beat Yamhill 1-1, or tied Yamhill 1-1, and lost to Blanchard Catholic 2-1, and now are looking to play into playoffs and fight for their life, as they will face Taft at 10 a.m. on Saturday, November 2nd. Taft having beat them earlier this season 2-0. So Dayton has a tough task in front of them. Very good team this year, as they have a group of gals there that work together very well. Some underclassmen that are very skilled, and along with some upperclassmen that are really, really skilled as well. Keely Myers, one of their forwards, along with Brooke Oliveira, Violet Holland, Jasmine Reyes is also a really good player, along with Paula Kovar Rubius. Really an interesting group of gals there. Should be interesting to see how they come together. But they have a very tough task in front of them against Taft. Taft, very formidable opponent, and looks to really continue their season as well. The other team that's just been fascinating to watch this year has been Yamhill Carleton, as they post 11-1-1 record, losing only to OES this year 1-6, and only allowing 10 goals on the season, 6 of those obviously coming to OES. And this team, wow, just fantastic to see this team continue their trend from last year, as they are going into playoffs ranked number 5. And this is going to be an interesting team to watch, as it seems for the most part that OES and Catlin Gable have complete control over this 2A, 3A, 1A division, but Yamhill doing a really good job at coming together as a group and putting together a great season this year. To me, the player that was most exciting to watch when I got to see them play against Dayton was Samantha Clemens, the goalkeeper. She had some incredible saves and just had a fantastic day for them. The other player that really stood out to me in that game was Haley Harris, as she had knocked in a goal in that game. So I'll keep an eye out on Yamhill. I expect to see them play this offseason, or this postseason. So I'll keep you updated on them. Moving on to some local football, as McMinnville got smashed by their rival Newburgh 21-0. Got to watch that broadcast over on Yamhill today. The Newburgh defense just seemed to be too much for the Grizzlies, as Gabe Ramos had 2 interceptions, and along with Armin Tarashian, as he had 4 tackles and interception. The run game also got established by Newburgh, as they hung 109 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns on the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies just got overpowered and outplayed by rival Newburgh. And now are going to be fighting for their life here in the last game of the season, as they need to win their last game and need to have rival Newburgh win to get them in. Never a good thing to have your rival win a game so you can get in. So McMinnville will be praying that Newburgh has a favorable outcome this week. Moving on to a little college football, as we saw Oregon beat the Washington State Cougars and move up to number 7 in the rankings. A 37-35 game, really an exciting game. Not too much out of Herbert though, as he was 21 for 30 with 222 yards, no touchdowns, but really a flawless game. No big mistakes from the Ducks in this game. They looked to just establish that point of attack and really controlled it all night, as CJ Verdell hung 257 yards on 23 carries and 3 touchdowns. Just phenomenal performance by Verdell. But really, to me, the standout was the defenses. They allowed 406 yards passing from Anthony Gordon, but kept the total yardage to 446. So really kept that rushing game under control, as they dominated that Cougars front line. And 1 sack by Fanu, 2 interceptions on the night, 1 for Vernon McKinley III, and then the other one was for Holland, as he picked one off and took it to the house. Oregon now in the number 7 ranking looks to make playoffs. Looks to hopefully get that last playoff spot, but I mean, at this point in the season, nothing is set in stone, as Oregon will have to close the season out and look to maybe knock off Alabama. Is most likely, if they get into playoffs, they're going to be facing Alabama and or Clemson. So not an easy task for the Oregon Ducks. So as the season winds down, we'll keep an eye out on the Ducks as they look to vie for that last playoff spot. And that's about it here in the Northwest, as I'll keep you guys updated here as playoffs carry on. Peace.